Lecture number 6, link state dynamic routing. So the last class, that means in lecture number 5, we discussed about the distance vector routing protocol. So today we are going to discuss about link state dynamic routing protocols. Okay, so already distance vector routing protocol we already completed. So we discussed about the RIP protocols, RIP protocol version 1, RIP protocol version 2, what are the differences we discussed. Then we discussed about the IGRP and EIGRP. So what are the difference between this IGRP and EIGRP we discussed. So what are the advantages of distance vector? We are going to talk about link state routing protocols. Okay, the second one. So link state routing protocol, these are the examples, OSPF and ISIS. Okay, so these are the two examples for link state routing protocol. So today we are going to see only the theory part. Okay, so what is a link state routing protocol? How the link state routing protocol is working? Okay, so only the theoretical concepts we are going to study today. In the next lecture, that means in lecture number 7, we are going to discuss about the OSPF. Lecture number 8 also we are going to discuss about OSPF only. That is OSPF single area, multiple area. Okay, concept is that. So in lecture number 7, we will discuss about the single area OSPF. In lecture number 8, we will discuss about multiple area OSPF. Okay, so these are the concepts. So we are going to start link state routing protocols. Now, link state routing protocols, basically, they are going to see the cost of the link. How to calculate the cost, that we will see it later in the next lecture. But they are going to use something called cost. They are not going to see the number of hops. If you take RIP protocol, okay, I'm talking about the RIP, the previous one, distance vector. If you take the RIP protocol will count the number of jumps, okay, number of hop, okay, number of hop it will select. I want to reach from R1 to R3. If I want to, okay, I want to send my packet, means it is going to check the number of hops. Okay, now you can see if I make here one jump and this is 2 hop. So within 2 hops you can reach. So this is called the shortest path. In distance vector, they will consider only the hops. Okay, they will consider. But here what they are going to do means they are going to calculate something called a cost for every link. So from R2 to R5 there is a link available. Okay, a cable is available. Now for this particular link we are going to calculate a cost. So how to calculate the cost, we will see it later. Now based on the cost only we are going to take the decisions. Okay, so for example, I want to reach from R2 to R3, I want to reach means I'm going to calculate the cost. Okay, now you can see this is 20, the cost is 20, and here the cost is 25. That means 5, 20 plus 5, 25. So 25 means I can reach R3. But if you go for the next path, R2 to R5, R5 to R4, R4 to R3, you can reach like this also. Now the cost, if you check, this is 10, 10 and 10. So the cost is 30. So here the cost is 25. So which one is taking less means, okay, automatically this is going to be very less. So I'm going to follow this particular path. So you can decide a path. Okay, you can decide. That means the routing protocol is going to decide the path by using, okay, something called cost. Okay, so this is an algorithm in data structure. So this is called Dijikistra's algorithm. You might have studied about this in data structure 1 or data structure 2. Okay, how to calculate the shortest path from any node to any node, from R1 to R3, R5 to R1. So you can calculate the path by using the cost. So this is the base. So your link state routing protocol, it is going to use something called cost for everything. So based on the cost only, the path will be decided. Okay, so this is a small introduction. Now, next one, link state routing protocol operation. So how the link state protocol is working? What are the different steps available? This is a long answer question. Okay, so what are the steps available in a link state routing protocol? 6 different steps. There are totally 6 different steps available in a link state routing protocol. Your link state routing protocol will run like this in these steps. 6 different steps. Okay, a very important question. Now, what is the first step means? Every router, each router, it is going to learn about its own links and its own directly connected networks. So we already know this. In distance vector, we saw the 3 steps. Okay, what are the 3 steps means? We discussed about the cold start, learning about the neighbors, okay, and learning about the remote networks. So there are 3 different steps available in the distance vector routing protocol. Okay, in lecture number 5, we discussed about this. Okay, how the distance vector routing protocol is working means based on the 3 different steps. But here we are having 6 different steps here. So the first step is same. What is that? Learning about its own links. So every router is going to learn about its own links. Links means the connections. Plus the own directly connected networks. So they are going to learn about the directly connected networks. This is step number 1. Okay. So let us see. Step number 1. I'm going for the router 1, R1. Okay. If I take R1, router 1. Now in router 1, you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 different links are connected. 4 links are directly connected here. Plus, we can say 4 different networks are directly connected here. Okay, so this network is 10.1.0.0. This is 10.1 network, and this is 10.2 network. This is 10.3 network and 10.4 network. So 4 different networks connected here in 4 different links. Now the router is going to learn. About this first. So what are the networks directly connected? Okay, what are the networks directly connected? What are the links which are directly connected in the router? Okay, you can see link state interface, link state of interface fast Ethernet 0 by 0. So 0 by 0 is directly connected. Fast Ethernet 0 by 0. Serial 0 by 0 by 0 is directly connected. Serial 0 by 0 by 1 is directly connected. Serial 0 by 1 by 0 is directly connected. So it is going to learn about everything, all the links and the networks it is going to learn. So every router is going to do this. Now, if you take link, I'm not going for every link, I'm going for only one link. Okay, I take this link. So in this link, what are the things it is going to learn? Now you can see what is the network available here. Link number 1. Okay, the network available here is 10.1. Okay, so 10.1.0.0 network is available. What is the IP address means? The IP address of this link is 10.1.0.1. This is the IP address of this particular link. Then what type of network? By default, it is going to be Ethernet. Okay, this is fast Ethernet 0 by 0. It is Ethernet. Then what is the cost? What is the cost of that link? So the cost of this link is 2. Okay, cost of the link, and there is any neighbors. If there is any neighbor available here means no neighbor. This is a local area network. So there is no neighbors available. So I'm taking the first link, link number 1. About the link number 1, what are the data or what are the information it is going to read means, okay, it is going to learn. That means the router is going to learn. Okay, so what is the network connected here? What is the IP address used here? What type of network it is? What is the cost of the link? And who is the neighbor? So all the information it is going to learn about this particular link. Then go to the next link. Next link is, I'm going to take, this is link number 2. Okay, this is link number 2. So now for this particular link, okay, what is the network? What is the IP address? What type of connection it is? It is serial connection. What is the cost of the link? The cost of the link is 20. And who is the neighbor? Neighbor means the other side. Okay, here who is the neighbor? Okay, I'm going to learn. So all the information it is going to learn. So step number 1, every router it is going to learn about its own link plus its own directly connected networks. So these are the information every router is going to collect. What is a network? What is the IP address? What type of network it is? what is the cost of that particular link, and who is going to be your neighbor. So complete information, it will be collected by all the links. So here, for example, we are giving only for 2 links. So third link, fourth link, for all the links, so the same information will be collected by the router. So this is step number 1 in link state routing protocol. Now, let me go to the second step. So what is the second step means? The second step is meeting the neighbors. Okay, so we already told, okay, is going to learn who is the neighbor. Okay, the neighbor is R2. Neighbor, there is no neighbor here. Okay, so we are giving the neighbors. So now we are going to learn about the neighbors. So step number 2, meeting its neighbors on directly connected networks. Okay, now it is going to learn about the neighbors. This is going to be the second step. Okay, now you can see R1, router 1. Okay, we will take router 1. So router 1, it needs to learn about R2. R2 is directly connected, R3 is directly connected, and R4 is directly connected. Now, so R1, we are going to talk about only R1. Okay, so R1 needs to learn about his neighbor. R2 is the neighbor, R3 is the neighbor, and R4 is the neighbor. So now what R1 is going to do means, R1 is going to create a packet. Okay, it is going to create a packet. So the name of the packet is called hello packet. Okay, the name of the packet is called the hello packet. So it is going to create the hello packet. So it is telling, hello, I am R1. Okay, so what is available inside the hello packet, we will see it later. So now a hello packet is created. So hello packet is now broadcasted to everybody. Okay, to all the directly connected networks, to the directly connected links. So now the okay, that means the hello packet is reaching R2, hello packet is reaching R3, hello packet is reaching R4. So everybody is getting the hello packet of R1. Then the next step, what is the next step means, they are going to reply. So R2, R3, R4, okay, they are going to create, okay, they are going to reply to me. So how they are going to reply means, they are going to reply by using their own hello packets. Okay, now you can see R2 is creating, hello, I am R2. Hello, I am R2. Hello, I am R4. Sorry, R3, R4. So every router, that means the directly connected routers, they are creating their own packets, hello packets, and they are sending their hello packets to me. So now in step number 2, so what I understood means every router, okay, what they understood means they are learning about their neighbors. Okay, so now R1 knows my neighbor is R2, R3, R4, what is IP address he is using. So complete information I got it from R2, R3 and R4. So this is step number 2. Okay, learning about the neighbors. Now the next one we are going for the third step. Step number 3 is building or constructing, making a LSP. Each router builds a link state packet, LSP. It is a very important keyword here. Okay, you cannot write the answer for this question without this word. It is a keyword, LSP. So what is LSP means? Link state packet. Now, so every router, now it is going to construct a LSP, link state packet it is going to construct. So the third step in the link state routing process is each router builds a link state packet, LSP, containing the state of each directly connected link. Okay, now the next very important point here, what is available? What is available inside this LSP? So everybody is going to construct a LSP. This is step number 3. So what is available inside the LSP means in the LSP is going to contain the state of the directly connected link. Okay, state means like whether it is on or off, plus some more information will be available. Okay, so this is my link, link 1, link 2, link 3. Okay, and link 4 means about the LSPs, about my links, I'm going to create a packet. So what is the state of the link, whether the link is working or not, whether the link is on or off. So what is the cost of the link? Already cost you already learned. Okay, cost we already learned in step number 1. So in step number 3, it is going to make the state of the link, whether the state, what is the state means? it is up or down. Okay, that is the state. So the link will be up or the link will be down. So this packet will be created and this packet will be exchanged with everybody. Now, the next one you can see here, R1. Okay, we are taking the example here, R1. So this is going to be the cost. What is the cost? Well, the cost is 2. Okay, then R1 to R2. Okay, this is R1 to R2. So the cost is 20. R1 to R3. Okay, R1 to R3, the cost is 5. R1 to R4, okay, the cost is 20. So now in your LSP, all the information will be available. What is IP address? What is the cost? Okay, and whether it is up or down. Okay, that means the state is up or down. So all the information will be available in the LSP packets. So the first packet is a hello packet. Through the hello packet, you are learning about your neighbors. Then the next packet is going to be the LSP. So what is LSP means? A link state packet. So in the LSP packet, so all the information will be available. So now every router is going to create its own LSP and it is going to exchange. Okay, the LSP packets will be exchanged. Now, the next one, step number 4. So totally there are 6 different steps available. We are in step number 4 now. So what is step number 4 means? The fourth step is each router floods the LSP to the neighbors. So they constructed the LSP. Okay, you can see R1. If you take the LSP of R1, all this information will be available. Okay, the LSP of R1 is having all the 4 information it is going to have. So that means what is the cost of this link, what is the cost of this link, what is the cost of this link, and what is the cost of this particular link. So all the information is available, whether it is up or down, all information will be available in the LSP. Okay, so LSP is having the information about all the directly connected links. So what information? IP address, what is the cost, what type of interface it is, what type of connection it is, whether it is Ethernet or serial. Okay, all the information will be available. Now, after creating the LSP, everybody is going to flood. You see, step number 4. So the fourth step in the link state process is each router floods the LSP to all the neighbors who then store all the LSPs received in a database. So now what does that means? R1 created its own LSP, R2 created the LSP, R3, R4, R5. So everybody created the LSP. Now take R1. So R1 is going to give its LSP to everybody. It is going to flood. Okay, it is going to flood the LSP in the topology. So that means the LSP of R1 will go to R2, R3, R4, okay, R5, everybody, okay, for all the networks, okay, everybody will get the LSP of R1. Same, R2 also, it is going to create its own LSP. Okay, there are 3 links available, 1, 2, 3. So about the 3 links, it is going to create its own LSP and it is going to flood. So flood all over the topology. Then R4, R3, everybody, okay, all the routers, it is going to create their own LSPs and they are going to flood it. So now the next one you can say R1 is getting the LSP of R2, R1 will get the LSP of R3, R1 will get the LSP of R5 and R1 will get the LSP of R4. All the LSPs I will collect. So every router is going to get the LSP of all the other routers. Now this we have to store it in a table. Okay, just imagine we are 20 students in this class means every student you are going to create your own LSP and you are going to broadcast, you are going to give it to others. Now, if I am a teacher, my LSP also available with you. So now what I'm going to do, I just collected from all the students and my own LSP and everything I'm going to put it in a database. I'm going to collect it in a table. Okay, I'm going to collect it in a table or I'm going to collect it, okay, I'm going to save it with me. I'm going to store it with me. So all the LSPs received in a database. Store all the LSPs received in a database. So this is step number 4. Then step number 5. Then by using all these LSPs, Okay, I collected the LSP from everybody. R1, it is collected from R2, R3, R4, R5. Same, R2 is collected from R1, R3, R4, R5. So now every router is going to construct a complete map of the topology. So every router, they are going to construct a map. Okay, that means they can know their entire topology. Okay, where is R2, where is R3, okay, where is R4, R5, everything. Okay, each and every router will know. Okay, if you take R1, so it got the LSP of everyone. Now using that LSP, automatically R can make a diagram. So where is R2? R2 is connected in serial. Where is, okay, R3? Where is R4? Where is R5? So automatically it can construct the topology it can create. Okay, by using the LSPs. Now you can see the fifth step in the link state process is each router uses the database. That means database means collection of LSPs to construct a complete map of the topology. So every router will easily understand where is the another router. Okay, what is the location? So who is connected in the left side, right side, everything they will know. Now you can see this is an example. So R1, we are taking the router 1. Okay, router 1 we are taking. Now you can see this is the LSP of R1 and this is the LSP of R2. This is the LSP of R3 and this is the LSP of R4 and this is the LSP of R5. So all routers LSP I'm having in a database. This is called link state database. So using this, they are going to construct their own, okay, topology. So the topology will be constructed. Okay, this is step number 5. So topology means nothing. This is topology. So router 1 is going to construct this topology. Router 2 is going to construct this topology. Router 3 is going to construct. Okay, then only they can decide which is the shortest path. So every router is going to construct this topology by using the link state packets, LSPs. Next step. Step number 6, every router is going to construct, okay, now a shortest path tree they are going to construct. Okay, what is shortest path means? Now you can see, I'm going to take R1. Okay, R1 collected all the LSPs. Then it is going to make this particular topology. That means the particular, okay, we can say as a graph, whatever it is. So it is created this completely, it is ready. Now from this it is going to select. Okay, it is going to select the path. Okay, now from R1 to R3, what are the different paths available? So if I want to travel from R1 to R3 means, okay, R1 to R3, this is one path. Then R1, R2, R5, R4, R3, this is the next path. Then R1, R4, R3, this is the next path. So it is going to calculate different paths like this. In this, which is very short. Okay, which is very short. Okay, by using the cost, it is going to calculate. Then finally, it is going to create a complete shortest path it is going to create. So this is called shortest path. Okay, first. Okay, shortest path first tree. Okay, what does that mean? Say, I'm R1. If I want to go to 10.0.0.5, so 10.5.0.0, if I want to go to this network, this is the best path. Then if I want to go to 10.6.0.0, okay, 10.6 means, okay, you can see 10.6 is available here. This is 10.6. So if I want to go to 10.6, R1, R3, the total cost is 7. This is the shortest path. Then I want to go to 10.7. So where is 10.7? So 10.7 is available. This is 10.7. If I want to reach 10.7, the shortest path is R1, R3 and the cost is 15. So like this, for every destination, for each and every destination, now they are going to calculate the shortest path, okay, with the cost, okay, it will be calculated. So now the result is going to be the routing table. The result, okay, result means the shortest path, collection of shortest path to all the networks. So that is going to be available in the routing table. So this is going to be the routing table. So 4 networks directly connected, the remaining cost, okay, you can say 10.5, 10.6, 10.7, 10.8, 9, 10, 11. I want to go, what is the shortest path? So everything will be available in your routing table. Okay, so last year there was a question. Okay, what is that means? They gave a graph like this. Okay, that means the topology they gave. Okay, and they gave different values was given. Okay, different values were given. So they asked to find. Okay, they asked you to create. Okay, they asked you to create what are the possible paths from R5. Okay, I'm giving an example from R5 to R1. What are the possible paths? Okay, possible path. Possible means you have to tell what are the different paths available, what is the cost of each path. Then finally, from that you have to choose the best path. So whichever the cost is less, that is going to be the best path. Okay, so like this, some questions you can expect from this. So totally there are 6 different steps available. So all the steps, okay, these are the steps a link state routing protocol will undergo to create the routing table. So finally the routing table will be ready. Now the next one I'm going for advantages and disadvantages of link state routing protocol. We already studied this in the previous lecture. We are going to study in detail, but I'll just give you a glance without seeing the content. You can tell. We already told link state routing protocol is going to consume more resource. It is going to consume more resource. Okay, it needs more memory. It needs more bandwidth. It needs more CPU. Yes, because lot of calculations it is going to do. All the 6 steps you see. Okay, all the 6 steps if you want to do, definitely it is going to be a time consuming process. It needs hardware, that means resources it needs. Okay, like CPU, RAM, network bandwidth, okay, for exchanging the packets. So this is going to be the disadvantage. Okay, now you can see advantages and disadvantages of link state protocols. Now let me go for the disadvantage first. Okay, so what are the disadvantages? So if you see the disadvantages, the first disadvantage is going to be calculating the SPF algorithm requires additional CPU processing. So it needs more resource. Then bandwidth for exchanging the packets. There are a lot of packets. Okay, we have to flood the packets. So the first one is the LSP packet. Then you are going to flood the routing information, update packets. So it needs more bandwidth. Network consumption, that means network bandwidth is very important. You need high bandwidth here. Then you have to maintain the tables. Different types of tables you have to maintain here. So the first one is the entire database, the collection of LSP. Then you have to create the possible paths. Then you have to create the final routing table. So there are different tables you have to manage. So it needs memory. It needs more memory comparing with the first one. Okay, that is distance vector routing protocol. Now, what are the advantages you can see? So advantages means each router build its own topological map of the network to determine the shortest path. So every router is going to know about the entire topology. Okay, how many routers available in our topology? Where is the router available? Where it is connected? So all information every router will know. This is first advantage. Then advantage. Second advantage is immediate flooding of LSP achieves faster convergence. We discussed about the convergence also. So how quickly it is going to learn. Okay, so if you see the link state routing protocols is having high convergence. Very quickly it can learn. It's very fast. Then LSPs are sent only where there is a change in the topology and contain only the information gathering that change. Suppose if there is any problem in your topology, so every time we are not going to send LSP, only first time every router is going to send the LSP. After that, suppose if there is any problem happens to that router, okay, if any network is down, if any network is added, so in that case only the LSP will be again it will be sent. So initially the LSP will be exchanged, okay, between all the routers. That's it. Suppose if there is any problem in the router, problem in the sense, suppose if any link is not working, if any new network is added. So only in that case the LSP will be sent again. Otherwise, okay, LSP will not be sent. Then hierarchical design when implementing the multiple areas. These multiple area concepts we are going to discuss in lecture number 8. Okay, what is multiple area and all? You cannot understand this now. So you can create one area, single area. You can create multiple areas. You can create from one area to another area. You can communicate. Okay, this is what we are going to study in the next 2 lectures. Lecture number 7 and 8. We are going to create single area OSPF, multiple area OSPF we are going to create. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of link state routing protocol. Then the next one you can see, this is about the LSPs. Okay, multiple area. So this we are going to study. Okay, you no need to worry. Okay, in lecture number 7 we will discuss about it. Now you can see I'm having a group of routers. A group of routers. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 routers. I'm going to make this as a area. Then this is another area. Okay, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these 5 routers, I'm going to make this as one group. I'm going to make this as another area, and this routers also I'm going to make it as another area. So totally there are 3 different areas available: area 0, area 1, area 51. So 3 different areas available. So you can communicate from one area to another area. We can communicate. This is called multiple area. So I will tell one important point. Okay, all the areas you can create any number of areas, no problem. All the areas must be connected with area 0. Okay, all the areas must be connected with area 0. In the lab also we are going to do. Okay, we are going to see this. So you can have any number of areas, but all the areas should be connected with area 0. Okay, now you can see in this area there is no LSP. LSP is not exchanged, and in this area also LSP is not exchanged. But in this area, suppose if a link is failed, okay, a link is failed. Okay, this particular link is now failed. It is off some reason, because of some technical reason. So this link is going down. So now immediately this router will create, this router, both the routers, they will create a new LSP. Then the LSP will be flooded. It will be flooded in that area. Now again they will calculate the new path, new shortest path. Okay, so they will calculate the shortest path first. SPF algorithm, they will calculate again. The new path will be calculated. So what we understand, first time LSP is exchanged between all the routers. If there is nothing, no issues in the network, no problem. Okay, it will go smoothly. If any link fails, if the link goes down, okay, if a router failed, okay, if a link is not available, in that case every router will create a new LSP and it will be forwarded. Then okay, we are going to calculate the shortest path again. SPF again it will be calculated. So this is the how things are working in the link state routing protocol. So we discussed here what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages we discussed in this particular slide. Now let me go to the next one. So the next one is the protocols. Protocols are examples, we can say. Examples for link state routing protocols. So already we know OSPF. OSPF is an example. ISIS. Okay, it is an example. Okay, these two are very popular link state routing protocols. Okay, now you can see OSPF means open shortest path first. Open shortest path first. So this is the name of the algorithm. So this algorithm was developed in the year of 1987 itself. So there are 2 different versions available, OSPF v2 and v3. So OSPF v2 is used for IPv4 networks. OSPF v3 it is used for IPv6 networks. So we are going to use only OSPF v2. We are going to use it, okay, in the packet tracer for IPv4 networks. Then ISIS. So this is one of the very popular link state routing protocol. So this was designed, okay, this was developed by ISO, International Organizations of Standardization. And already, okay, in some class, I think I already told about this ISIS. So this protocol will be used, mostly it will be used by the service providers, internet service providers. Okay, by the service providers only, this ISIS will be used. So this is the examples, okay, examples for routing protocols, link state routing protocols. Now, the next one is, this is going to be entirely a different topic. So what is this means? Routing table entries. Okay, routing table entries. So up to this, we discussed about the link state. Now, I'm going for the next concept. Okay, what is the next concept means? Routing table entries. If you see the routing table, so you know what is a command. The command is show IP route. Okay, show IP route. So if you use show IP route, it is going to display the routing table. Now you can see this is a routing table. So in a routing table, what are all the different types of entries, available in a routing table? Okay, or we can say different types of paths. Okay, or we can say it is a different types of route. Okay, different types of routes available in a routing table. Okay, so this is what we are going to study. This is a important long answer question. What are the, or explain the different types of routes or different types of routing table entries? Okay, we are going to discuss now. So first thing we are going to discuss about parts of a IPv4 route entry. Okay, now I'm going to take one line from this. Okay, I'm going to take one line from this and we are going to discuss what are the ports available. Then we can go for the types. Okay, so now I'm going to take a single, okay, line I'm going to take. This is a single line in the routing table. Okay, I can say it is a single line or it is a single entry. Okay, a single entry in the in your routing table. So now if you see, the entry is like this. Okay, it is going to be like this. Okay, so you can find a letter R, you can find a letter R, or you can find S. Okay, so what is this means? How this line is created? How this particular path is, okay, that means the particular entry is created. Okay, that is the meaning. So S means, if you are having S means, it is called static route. So it is created by the administrator. If it is R means, okay, it is created by the RIP protocol. Okay, you will find O. So O means it is created by the OSPF protocol. So depending on this letter, okay, the first letter of your routing entry, okay, it says how this particular path or how this particular route is learned. Okay, from where it is coming, that is called the root source. Okay, from where it is coming. Then the next one is 172.16.4.0. This is going to be the destination network. Okay, this is the destination network 172.16.4.0. This is the destination network. Then the next one /28. What is /28 mean? This is called the subnet mask. Okay, actually this is wrong. Okay, this is not wrong. This is not administrative distance value. This is administrative distance value. Okay, actually this arrow mark should come here. Please change it. Okay, the administrative distance value is this. Okay, this is the administrative distance value. This is the subnet mask. Okay, this is subnet mask. Okay, /28 is the subnet mask. So first we are having the root source. Okay, first we are having the root source. Second entry, okay, the second field is the destination. Then the next one is, you can see 120/2. So what is this 120 means? The 120, it is called the administrative distance value. So this administrative distance value, you can see it in lecture number 4 itself. 4, the last, okay, it is given a table. So what is an administrative distance value means? The administrative distance value is nothing. Every routing protocol is going to have a value, okay, that is called the administrative distance value. If you take RIP protocol or IP, for the RIP protocol, the administrative distance value is 120. Okay, every routing protocol will have a administrative distance value. So if you see a RIP protocol, Okay, RIP protocol is 120. RIP protocol is not included here, but RIP protocol is 120. Okay, 120 is administrative distance value for RIP protocol. Okay, this is 120 means it is RIP protocol. Suppose if I use some other routing protocol, okay, for example, if I use OSPF routing protocol, if I use the OSPF routing protocol means, okay, the administrative distance value will be 110. So you can find 110 here. It will become 110 here. So it says this is OSPF protocol. If you use some other routing protocols, okay, if you use the EIGRP summary route, so the administrative distance value is 5. If you use the BGP protocol, it is 20. Internal IGRP, EIGRP 90. So what is this means? Every routing protocol will have an administrative distance value. If you create a static route, so the static route administrative distance value for the static route is 1. If a link is directly connected, if a network is directly connected means the administrative distance value is 0. Okay, what is this? Teacher, why they are giving different numbers? So it starts from 0 to 255. Okay, 0 to 255. If the value is less, then that particular routing protocol will be good. If the value is increasing, if the value is more, the routing protocol is not reliable. I'm creating a routing protocol today. I'm going to create a routing protocol. Is it possible to create a routing protocol? Yes. I can develop my own routing protocol. I can use a different algorithm to find the shortest path. If my routing protocol is very good means I will have a less administrative distance value. So whenever the administrative distance value is reduced means that routing protocol is going to be very strong. It is going to be very reliable routing protocol. Okay, you take RIP protocol. RIP protocol is 120. So 120 means we cannot say it is good, we cannot say it is bad. So it is in between. But OSPF, if you take one OSPF is 110. So 110 means it is less than the RIP. So it is going to be more reliable than RIP. Okay, we are not fixing this. It is already fixed by the IANA. They are fixing these particular values. So now you can say the administrative distance value 120 is the administrative distance value. The next one is called metric. So what is the metric means? How they are calculating this? If you take RIP protocol, the metric is going to be hop count. Hop count means 2 routers, 3 routers, 4 routers. So they have to cross 2 routers. Then only they can reach this destination. If you use the OSPF, you will find the cost. You will find the cost here. Okay, you will not find the number of, the hop count you will not find. So what I'm trying to say, every routing protocol will have a metric. Every routing protocol will have a administrative distance value. Okay, this is important point. Every routing protocol will have its own administrative distance value. Every routing protocol will have its own metric. Okay, this is very, very important one. Then the next one is via, okay, this is going to be the next hop. The next IP address, we can say it is an exit. Okay, so this is going to be the next hop. Okay, next hop, okay, the IP address. So we created in the static route, we created like this IP route, what is your destination, okay, then subnet mask, then what is the next hop. So this is going to be the next hop, the next jump. If I want to go to 172.16.4.0, I want to make a jump to this particular IP address. Then the next one is the time. So time when this is created, that is called the timestamp. And then finally the name of the interface. You can give the name of the interface or you can use IP address. Okay, we created in the static route. So this is the name of the interface. So if you take one line, in your routing table, so it should be like this. So first one, it is the source. Okay, source will say how you learn this by using RIP protocol or IGRP protocol, EIGRP protocol, OSPF protocol. Okay, how you learn this, whether it is a static or whether it is directly connected. So how you learn this, okay, that is called the source. Then this is going to be your next destination, and this is the subnet mask. and this is the administrative distance value. 120 is the administrative distance value. Next one is the metric via the next jump. So where you want to make the next jump. So when this particular route is created and what is the name of the interface. Okay, so the IP address and name of the interface will be same. Okay, so whatever the IP address for this serial 0 by 0 by 0, okay, the IP address will come here. So this is how, okay, the each and every line, okay, each and every line of your router, that means the routing table will be like this. Okay, it will be like this. Okay, now the next one is, okay, this is first thing we studied. That means, okay, the ports of a IPv4 route entry. Okay, these are the different ports available. Now, different types of entries. Okay, we are going for different types of entries now. What are the different types of entries available means you can see these are all different types of entries. Okay, what are they? The first one is directly connected entries. That means directly connected network. Then remote network entries. Then in this you have something called ultimate route, level 1 route, level 1 parent route, level 2 child routes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 different types available. So one is going to be the directly connected. Okay, what is directly connected? Means you see this is example routing table. So here I'm having, okay, I'm having here, you can see here C. C means it is directly connected. So C is directly connected, C is directly connected, C is directly connected. So if you find C, okay, the letter C, this is directly connected. This is one type of line, one type of entry. For directly connected, you see 172.16.1.0/24 is directly connected. Okay, is directly connected in the gigabit Ethernet 0 by 0. Okay, 209.209.165.200.224.30 is directly connected in serial 0 by 0 by 0. Then 20916, okay, no need to memorize this kindly, okay, don't memorize this, try to understand the concept. If it is directly connected, it will be like C will be written, and what is the name of the network is directly connected, in which interface it is directly connected. Okay, in which interface it is directly connected. So this is directly connected networks. C means directly connected networks. Then there is another letter you can see. What is that means? That is called L. So L stands for local. Okay, we have not seen any example for this, but you can see here L means it is going to be the local. The same thing it is considered as local. Okay, you see 172.16.1.1.32. Okay, directly connected. Okay, gigabit Ethernet 0 by 0. So L stands for local. Here it will be network. Here it will be like 1, 2, 3 like that. Okay, this is they have done some subnetting here. Okay, that is the meaning. Okay, so no need to confuse too much. C for connected, L for local. Okay, C means connected, okay, directly connected, and L is also directly connected, locally it is connected. That means you are having some subnets. Okay, that is the meaning. So this is first type of entry, directly connected entries. Okay, directly connected entries. So next one is remote. Remote network entries. So what is a remote network means? You can say other than this local and directly connected, everything is going to be remote. Okay, other than this, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything is going to be your remote network. So now you can see I'm going for the remote entry. Okay, remote entry. So now in the remote entry, okay, you can see there will be a routing protocol, or then this is going to be your remote network, that is your destination network. Then there will be a subnet mask, then the administrative distance value, then metric via, okay, the next hop, that means where you are going to make the jump. So this is other than directly connected, everything is going to be remote. Okay, everything is going to be the remote entry. Now you can see here. So this is an example for the remote network. You are creating a static route. Static route is also example for a remote network because you want to reach some other network. So other than directly connected, other than local, everything will be considered as the remote network. So the remote network entry will be like this. Then the next one is called ultimate root. Okay, ultimate root. So what is an ultimate root? Means, so it is not properly given in your slides. So let me go to a website. One is called ultimate root. Second one is a level 1 root. Third one, level 1 parent root, and level 2 child roots. So these are the 4 different types of roots. Okay, different types of roots: ultimate root, level 1 root, level 1 parent, okay, level 1 root, level 1 parent root, and level 2 child root. Okay, in level 1 there are 2, level 1 root, level 1 parent. In L2 it is only child. Okay, so what is this? You will understand. Okay, now you can see I'm going for the ultimate roots. Okay, so what is an ultimate root? Very simple. Ultimate root already we discussed, we completed. Okay, what is ultimate root means? So ultimate roots means directly connected. Directly connected, we already discussed what is directly connected. Then dynamically learned. Dynamically learned means by using any routing protocol, RIP protocol or OSPF protocol, anything which is learned by using routing protocol. Then any local root. Okay, any local root, that means if it stands for L, this is called ultimate roots. So there is nothing to say here. So what is an ultimate root means? A ultimate root in the routing table entry contains either a next hop address or an exit interface. So it is going to have a next hop entry, next hop where we have to jump. Okay, it will have a next hop IP address, or it will have a exit interface, or it, okay, name of a interface. This is what we saw here. So it will be having, okay, it will be having a next hop. This is called the next hop IP address, or it will have a name of a interface. Okay, it will have a name of a interface. So anything if it is having like this, that is called ultimate root. So example for ultimate root: directly connected. Okay, dynamically learned. Dynamically learned means learned by using any routing protocol. Then local roots. Okay, the root which is having L. So all these things, it will be considered as ultimate roots. Finished. Okay, so now you can see they are giving the example. Okay, example for ultimate roots, everything. Now you can see everything is in the orange color. So everything is going to be ultimate root. Okay, anything which is having a exit interface or a exit IP address, you can consider this as a ultimate root. Now, I'm going for the next type of root, level 1 root. Okay, what is level 1 root? Means a level 1 root is a root with a subnet mask equal to or less than the classful mask of the address. Okay, the word itself, it is very clear. It is equal to or less than the classful mask. What is classful mask means? 8, 16, 24. This is classful mask. Okay, 8 means class A, 16 means class B, 24 means it is class C. So this is class, okay, A, B, C, 8, 16, 24 respectively. Okay, keep this in your mind. So any root, level 1 root means any root which is with a subnet mask equal or less than the classful mask, okay, of a network address. So therefore a level 1 mask can be a network root or supernet root or default root. Okay, what does that mean? You can see in this example. Okay, so what is level 1 means? Level 1 means I'm having 24, 192.168, 1.0. Okay, listen carefully. 192.168. 192 means it is class C. For class C, I'm having 24. The IP address, this is class C IP address. Subnet mask is 24. Okay, that means this is, I'm going to say, this is going to be a, okay, level 1 root. Then you see the next one is 192.168. 192.168. Here it should be 24. It should be /24, but I am having 16 less than, not more than. Suppose if I have something here like 26, 27 means I'm not going to consider it as level 1. So level 1 means You are taking the IP address range, that means the IP address, this is class C. For class C, it should be 24. So this is correct. This is level 1. But next one you can see 192.168. This is class C. Here I need 24, but this is less than 24. If you do less than 24, we have not done like this. We just borrowed 2 bits, 3 bits like that. We increased. Okay, from 24 to 26, 26 to 27, we borrowed like that. That is called subnetting. So what is subnetting? We know. Okay, we borrowed some bits. But here there is something called supernet. What is supernet means? Supernet means you are going to reduce the number of network bits. Okay, you are reducing the number of network bits. You are not increasing the network bits. You are decreasing the network bits. So that we have not learned. But what is the concept here? If the subnet mask is equal or if the subnet mask is less. Okay, if it is less than of the class mask automatically, so this will be considered as a level 1 root. Then one more thing, we know the default root. This we have done. Default root means 0.0.0.0, 0.0. Okay, we have done. So default root also it is called level 1 root. Okay, this is the formula. I repeat, just a summary. What is a level 1 means? You have to see the IP address and you have to see the subnet mask. Okay, class C 24, class B 16, class A 8 means it is level 1. Suppose supernet has done. What is supernet means? They reduced the number of bits. Okay, reduce the number of bits in the network. So actually it should be 24. By default it is 24. But what they did, they reduced 2. 2 bits got reduced here. Okay, that means they are making us 8 bits, they reduce. So this is also level 1. Then the next one is the default root. Default root 0.0.0.0 is the default root. So okay, default root is also considered as level 1. So this is called level 1 roots. Now let me go to the next one. Okay, we have another 2. The next one I'm going for level 1 parent root. Okay, level 1 parent root. Okay, what is level 1 parent root means? Okay, you can see here level 1 parent root is level 1 network root that is subnetted. That is subnetted. A parent root can never be a ultimate root. A parent root can never be a ultimate root. Okay, so what is this means? You can see level 1 parent. Now 192, 168, 1.0.0. Okay, so this is already we know 192, 168, 1.0/24. Okay, they have not done any subnetting, so nothing. So this is going to be level 1. Okay, so this is going to be level 1. Then here 192, 168, 0.16. Okay, .0/16. 16 means this is class C, but they are writing 16. So this is supernet. So supernet already we know it is level 1. Okay, the next one I'm going. Okay, this is 0.0.0.0. So 0.0.0.0 means it is any network. So any network, this is going to be the level 1. Okay, now what is parent? Okay, so what is a parent root means? You can see here. Okay, what is a parent root? Okay, just a minute. I'll show you that very clearly. Now you can see these 2 roots they are going to say as a parent root, level 1 parent root. Okay, they are saying this 2 things. Okay, as a level 1 parent. Okay, what is that? 172.16.0.0/16. Okay, now 172, which class it is?
Class B.
Class B. Okay, what is the range of class B?
16.
No, class B range starting from 128 to 191. Okay, 191. Okay, now you can see here. See here, 172, 16, 00/16/16. Okay, what does it means? So this is class B. Okay, this is class B. Okay, class B with subnet mask 16 and variably subnetted. Variably subnetted, that means 5 different subnets. You can see 5 different subnets they are going to make here. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 5. So 5 different subnets they make here: 172.16.1, 172.16.1.1, 172.16.2.0, 172.16.3.0, 172.16.4.0. So they made 5 subnets in this particular network. This is, we are going to say, level 1 parent. Okay, what is that means? Nothing. If you do subnetting, okay, that means supernet. If you do, we are going to say level 1. If you do subnetting, we are going to say it is level 1 parent. Okay, try to understand. If you decrease, it is level 1. If you increase the subnet mask, okay, where it is increased, teacher, you see 172.16.1.0, I give 24. Okay, I gave 24. 24 means I borrowed some bits. Then 172.16.1.32, so I borrowed some bits. Here I borrowed some bits. Okay, totally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 networks available in 172. So these are all, we are going to say it is level 1 parent. Very simple, don't confuse too much. So level 1 parent means here we have done subnetting. Okay, we borrowed some bits. We increase the subnet mask. Okay, we increase the subnet mask. Okay, that is the meaning. So previously we reduced the subnet mask. Subnet, okay, supernet. We have done supernet. But here we have done subnet. Then the next one we are going for child 2. So level 2 child. Okay, level 2 child root. Okay, what is this means? This is a root that is subnet of classful network addresses as illustrated in the figure. Okay, they are giving some figure. Okay, we will see it later. This is okay, a level 1 parent root in a level 1 network that is subnetted. Okay, now I will go for level 1 child root example. Okay, so where is that? Level 1. Wait, let me show in our slide. So we have to go for the child. Wait, yes, level 2 child. So what is level 2 child means? You can see the roots now. 172.16.1.0, this is directly connected. 172.16.1.1.32, this is directly connected. Okay, so what is this means? In the previous one, I told this is level 1 parent. This is called parent. In this parent, there are 5 different childs available. So these are all I'm going to say level 2 child, and this is I'm going to say level 1 parent. That is the meaning. Okay, so these are all called childs. Okay, they are called level 2 childs. So this child makes this parent. Okay, it is a parent. So this is going to be, okay, summarized. This is summarized. So this is, I'm going to say level 1 parent, and these are all called level 2 childs. That's it. So there are 3 things we discussed. In the first one, ultimate root. Okay, that is different. Level 1 root means if there is any supernet. Okay, if there is any supernet, it is called level 1. Level 1 parent means subnetting. So level 2 child means these are all the childs. Okay, this is okay. So in the last, I told this is level 1 parent. Now I'm telling these are all level 2 childs. Okay, so level 2 childs means in the major network, whatever the subnets you have done, this is going to be your level 2 childs. So these are all the different types of routing table entries. Okay, if you so go for the routing table entries, so you are having, okay, so ultimate root is a collection of, okay, 3 or 4 things. Then level 1 root, level 1 parent root, level 1 child root. So level 1 parent, keep the word supernet. They have done some supernet plus default. Okay, so plus default root. Okay, or without subnetting. Okay, or without subnetting, that is called level 1 root. In level 1 parent, okay, you will have that major network, only the major network, and this major network will be divided, okay, by using subnetting. So now all that subnetted, okay, whatever the subnetting done, that is going to be level 2. So level 2, completely level 2 child, if you combine together, you will get level 1 parent. Okay, you will get level 1 parent. So these are the different types of routing table entries, okay, which are available in a routing table. Okay, so this is slightly you have to study, then only you will understand the entire concept. Okay, I will upload the video, you can see it later. Now, so I'm going for the the next topic. So the next topic is route or route lookup process. Okay, what is a route lookup process means? Okay, you can see this is actually a problem. Okay, problem solving questions, maybe in short answer or in the multiple choice questions you may get this question. Okay, what is this means? A packet is coming. Okay, a packet is coming to the route. Now the packet is asking, I want to go to a particular network. This is my destination. Okay, 10.0 something. Okay, this is my destination. Okay, it is telling. Now your router is going to decide. Okay, your router is going to decide. Okay, it is going to decide the path. There are so many different paths available, many paths available. So your router should decide which is the best path. So how it is going to decide? Okay, that is a question. Now you can see a packet is coming. I'm asking, where do you want to go? Okay, where do you want to go? So now the packet is telling my destination is 172.16.0.0 or 0.10.0. Okay, the packet is giving, okay, the IP address. The packet is giving the IP address, destination IP address, and I'm converting this into binary. This is the binary. Okay, 172 is converted into binary. 16, it is converted into binary. 0, it is converted into binary. 10 is converted into binary. Okay, now you can see I have three different routes. Okay, I have three different routes. Okay, now my question is, please listen, you will understand now. 172.16, 172 is which class?
Class B.
Class B. Okay, what is the subnet mask?
255.255.0.
Very good. Okay, what is the CIDR value?
16.
16 is the CIDR value. Okay, let me write it somewhere. So 172 is IP address given to us, 172.16. Okay, I know what is the subnet mask. Subnet mask is 16. Okay, I just wrote it. Now, first route. Okay, you can see the first route 172.16.0.0. Okay, it is 12/12. That means, okay, they reduced something. They reduced something. So what type of route it is? What type of route it is? Okay, that is they have done supernet. They have not done subnetting. They used supernet. What type of route it is? What type of route is means? Okay, just now we discussed. I will show you. Okay, so just now we discussed there are 4 different types available. Okay, leave it ultimate. Level 1, level 2. Okay, level 1 parent, level 2 child. Now, what type of route it is means? It is level 1 route. It is level 1 route. How do you know level 1 route, teacher? Because it is done subnet, supernet here. Okay, that means they reduced. They are reducing the number of subnet, the number of bits. So now this is going to be level 1 route. Then you can see. Next one is 172.16.0.0/18/26. So they are increasing the number of bits. They are increasing the number of bits. Here 2 bits is increased. Here 10 bits are increased because by default 16 should come, 16. 16 should come. But here it is 18 and here it is 26. So both these routes, okay, what type of route it is? I'm going to say this is level 2 child. It is level 2 child. So level 2 parent means 16 will come here. Okay, 16 will come. That is level 2 parent. But in that parent, these are all childs. So this is child 1 and this is child 2. Okay, because we borrowed 2 bits here. 2 bits borrowed here and 10 bits are borrowed here. So this is going to be the level 1 route and this is level 2 child route and this is also level 2 child route. Now, the question is, you have to choose a path for this. Okay, maybe in exam you will get a question like this. So they will give you an IP address. Okay, that means a network. Not network, it is IP address. Okay, because 10 is there. It is an IP address. Then they will give 2-3 paths, 1, 2, 3, 4. So which one? Okay, the IP address will select. Okay, which one? Okay, the IP address. Okay, that means that your router will select as the best path. Means now what you have to do? You convert everything into binary. Okay, now I'm converting this binary. I'm converting this into binary. I'm converting this into binary. So now I'm going to have the longest, you see, longest match to the IP destination. Okay, I'm going to match. I'm going to take this 0, 0. Okay, the longest matching. Okay, the first part is matching everywhere. 172, 172, 172, 172. It is matching. The first octet. Then the second octet 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. Okay, this is matching only up to this. The second one is matching up to this one. The third IP address is matching up to this. So whichever is the longest match, we have to select this particular path. Your router will select this particular path. This is the meaning. So the answer here for sending this particular packet, which path will be selected? So path 1, path 2, path 3, route 1, route 2, route 3. So which one will be selected means you have to convert this the destination IP address into binary, convert everything into binary. So whichever is the matching, the longest match, so that particular route will be selected by your router. This is a very, very important question for exam point of view. Okay, this is level 1 route. This is level 2 child and level 2 child. Okay, level 2 child routes. Okay, teacher, can you just summary? Yes. Ultimate routes. Ultimate routes means it is a combination of everything. Ultimate routes. Okay, you no need to bother about the ultimate routes. Level 1 means subnet mask should be equal or subnet mask should be less. Okay, that is supernetted. Level 1 parent means that is called a summary. Okay, then level 2 child means subnetted, which are subnetted. Here, okay, you will have, okay, that means the subnet mask will increase. By default, if it is 16 means it will be 17, 18, 19, okay, like that. So they are called level 2 childs. Okay, so this is the routing table entry. So this is a very important question, even in the short answer or in the multiple choice. Okay, then you may get a question like this. So the destination IP address they will give, 2, 3 routes they will give, they will identify, they will ask you to check. So which route will be selected? You have to convert into binary. Okay, actually no need to convert into binary. I will give you your tips. Okay, you say 172, 172, 172. Okay, just strike out 172. There. The next one you can see. Okay, the next one you can see it is 16. Okay, it is 16. Okay, no need. You do it like convert into binary. Okay, don't follow my points because I know that's why I go in a shortcut. But for you, convert into binary, that will be better always. Okay, so convert into binary, that will be always better. Okay, so the next one I'm going for IPv6. Okay, so IPv6 we are going to do only one lab. Okay, how to configure the IPv6 addresses, how to create a static route in IPv6, how to enable the RIP, okay, or IPNG, that means RIP next generation. Okay, only that we are going to study. But anyway, you can just theoretically, okay, we are going to cover this. So IPv6 routing table, if you go in IPv6, it is almost same. It is similar to the IPv4. Okay, so everything will be almost similar, but here we don't have something like level 1, level 2 like that. Okay, everything is going to be level 1. So there is no level 1 parent, level 2 child. Okay, there is no. Only ultimate and level 1. Okay, that's it. So there is no level 1, no level 2 concept here in IPv6. IPv6 is easy actually. Comparing with IPv4, IPv6 is easy, okay, to handle also, but you have to learn in 4 first to understand the things. Okay, so now this is an example. So C means directly connected, L means it is local, so and D means by using some routing protocol. Okay, so this is going to be the routing table. So don't memorize the things. Okay, so you can just try C. C means it is directly connected, L means it is local, and D means this is by using some routing protocol. Okay, like that. Now, so you can see here the same thing. C, it is a root source. Okay, we already discussed this. Then the next one, it is a directly connected network. This is the name of the network, 2001. You must know 2001. It is what type of address it is. So it is called global unicast address. Okay, so global unicast address, it will always start with 200. So global unicast address, okay, this is directly connected, and this is 64. So totally there are 64 bits available in the prefix. And first 0, this is called the route administrative distance value. The same concept is same. The next one, it is called the metric. Then outgoing interface, the exit. Okay, exit interface. Only this is the change. Only the IP address is changed. Okay, only the IP address is changed. The remaining thing, it is the same format. So first it is going to be the root source, then the destination IP address, or we can say it is a directly connected network. Next is the administrative distance value. If it is directly connected, 0. The administrative distance value is 0. Okay, then 0 is the metric, and via, okay, that means the next hop. So this is going to be the next hop, outgoing interface. Then if it is a remote network, same thing. Now you can see here, remote network means, so this is the name of the routing protocol. Okay, I will show, see, 90 is the administrative distance value. Okay, now you go here. Okay, 90 is the administrative distance value. All of you look at the screen. 90 means which routing protocol means? It is internal IGRP, EIGRP they are using. So internal EIGRP routing protocol is used. If you use internal, okay, we are not going to use this in our lab, but just you have to learn. Every routing protocol will have a different administrative distance value. So using the administrative distance value, you can identify what type of routing protocol it is. So if it is 90, it is internal, okay, IGRP routing protocol. So now you can see, so this is created by using, okay, EIGRP, internal EIGRP protocol. So D, that is, okay, the key letter, 90. Then this is going to be the cost. This is the metric, 2170112. Okay, we will see this in the next lab. The OSPF, we are going to see this. Okay, it is going to be the cost. So the first one is the administrative distance value. The next one, it is going to be the metric. So then you have the exit interface, that means the IP address and also the name of the interface. So the same thing will be available, only the IP address is going to change. Okay, so there is no change in IPv4, IPv6. So it will be same. That means the structure, that means the line, the structure of the routing table entry, it is going to be same, but only you are, okay, the IP address is going to change. So here IPv6 will be used, there IPv4 will be used. So the same thing you can see, D means that is a root source. This is the internal, okay, IGRP. This is my destination network, 2001 colon DB8 colon CAFE colon, okay, 3 double colon means we already studied. Okay, that means in between everything 0. Okay, rule number 2 in IPv6. Already I uploaded the video. Okay, already the video is available in my channel. I will share the link for that. Okay, for IPv6. Okay, then /64. 90 is the administrative distance value, and this is going to be the metric. This is the cost, and via. Okay, this is the name of the IP address, exit interface, and this is the name of the interface. So the same structure we discussed there, but IP address is going to be different. Then, so summary. So what we studied today, there are a lot of things we studied today. First one, the steps. What are the different steps available, okay, in the routing, that means in the link state routing protocol. So if you want, I'll come from the beginning just as a summary. So we first discussed about the Dijikistra's algorithm. So finding the shortest path by using the cost. So then we discussed about the steps. What are the different steps available in the link state routing protocol? So this is a very important question. Then 6 different steps we discussed. Then we discussed about advantages and disadvantages of link state routing protocol. Then we discussed about the protocols. There are 2 popular protocols. One is the OSPF and another one is the ISIS. So then we discussed about the routing table entries. So here directly connected entries, remote network entries. If you go for the remote network entries, you can divide this as ultimate, level 1 parent, level 2 child. So there is no level 1 parent, level 2 child in IPv6. In IPv6, we have ultimate and level 1. That's it. So level 1, okay, what is level 1, what is level 2, okay, level 1 parent, level 2 child, everything I explained. So this is what we discussed. Then we discussed about the IPv6 we discussed. So these are the concepts we discussed in this particular lecture. Now, the last one, a very important short answer question. So please note down. What are the differences between distance vector, lecture number 5, and link state routing protocol, lecture number 6? What are the differences, okay, between distance vector and link state? Okay, you have to compare. So this is one of the important question. Examples. Let me start with the example. So for distance vector, the example is RIP and IGRP. For the link state routing protocol, the example is OSPF and ISIS. Good. Distance vector, very easy to configure. Okay, so we saw that router RIP. Okay, that is a command. Network, network, network. Only directly connected networks, if you advertise, it is enough. But here it is little bit difficult. We are going to start from next class. We are going to configure the OSPF protocol from next class. So it is little bit harder to configure. Then, since the entire routing table, so this is going to broadcast every 30 seconds, the entire table it will broadcast. But here only if there is any change in the link. Okay, we saw this today. If any link is failed, then only the LSP, link state packets, will be exchanged. Otherwise, it will not exchange any packets. So here it is going to be slow convergence. That means it will learn the networks very slow, but this is going to be very fast convergence. And here there will be some chances available for the routing loops. Okay, what is that loops means? Router 1 will forward to router 2. Again, router 2 will forward to router 1. Okay, this is called the loop. Okay, between two routers. Router 1 forwarding the packet to router 2. Same packet, router 2 will, okay, just imagine I'm taking my car, I'm going to the, okay, to the first roundabout. I'm asking the policeman, I want to go to the college. Okay, the policeman is telling, okay, go to the second roundabout. Now, I'm going to the second roundabout. So the policeman is telling, okay, I want to go to the college. Okay, he is telling, go to the first roundabout. Now, again, I go to the first roundabout. I'm asking the policeman. He is telling, go to the second roundabout. So second roundabout, first roundabout, second roundabout, first. This is called the loop. First router, second router, first router. Okay, just I will be just here. That is called the loops. So here chances are available for the routing loops, but here very less susceptible to the routing loops. Then updates are sometimes sent using the broadcast. So here we are going to use the broadcast IP address 255.255.255.255. So the broadcast IP address will be sent here, but here only the multicasting. We are not going to use the broadcasting concept here. Multicasting group, okay, will be done here. Then does not know the network topology. So router 1, if you take, so the router 1 will know about only the neighbors. So router 1 will know about the router 2, router 3, router 4. That's it. What about the other routers? No. So a single router will know about only the directed connected persons here. Does not know the topology. I repeat my statement again. Every router will know only about their directly connected routers. But if you go here in the link state, each and every router will know about everybody. Okay, in the topology. Even if 100 routers available in the topology, about all these things, this, okay, every network, that means every router will know. Okay, because they are collecting the packets, LSP packet, link state packet they are collecting, and they are creating a table. Then they are running the shortest path first algorithm. So here every router will know the entire topology. And this is simple to configure. So this is slightly difficult to configure, not very difficult. Okay, you will understand this in the coming class. So these are the differences between link state and distance vector routing protocol. So with this, we are completing lecture number 6.